Dear brothers and sisters, good morning. Here before us are the relics of Saint Therese of the Child Jesus, universal patroness of missions. It is good that this is happening as we reflect on the passion for evangelization, on apostolic zeal. Today, let us allow the witness of Saint Therese to help us. She was born 150 years ago, and I plan to dedicate an apostolic letter to her on this anniversary. She is the patroness of missions, but she never went on mission. How do we explain this? She was a Carmelite nun who lived her life according to the way of littleness and weakness. She defined herself as a small grain of sand. Having poor health, she died at the age of only 24. But though her body was sickly, her heart was vibrant. It was missionary. She recounts in her diary that her desire was to be a missionary, and that she wanted to be one, not just for a few years, but for the rest of her life, even until the end of the world. Therese was a spiritual sister to several missionaries. She accompanied them from her monastery with her prayers, her letters, and by offering continuous sacrifices for them. Without being visible, she interceded for the missions, like an engine that, although hidden, gives a vehicle the power to move forward. However, she was often not understood by her fellow nuns. She received more thorns than roses from them, but she accepted everything lovingly, patiently, offering even these judgments and misunderstandings together with her illness. And she did this joyfully, for the needs of the church, so that, as she said, roses might fall on everyone, especially the most distant. But now, I ask myself, and we can ask ourselves, where did all this zeal, this missionary strength, and this joy of interceding come from? 2 episodes that occurred before Therese entered the monastery help us to understand. The first concerns the day that changed her life, Christmas 1886, when God worked a miracle in her heart. Shortly after that, Therese would turn 14 years old. As the youngest child, she was pampered by everyone at home, but she was not spoiled. After returning from midnight mass, however, her very tired father did not feel like being there when his daughter opened her gifts and said, "Good thing it's the last year." Therese, who was very sensitive and easily moved to tears, was hurt and went up to her room and cried. But she quickly suppressed her tears, went downstairs, and full of joy was the one who cheered her father. What happened? On that night, when Jesus had made himself weak out of love, she had become strong in spirit. In just a few moments, she had come out of the prison of her selfishness and self-pity, and she began to feel that charity entered her heart, with the need to forget herself. From then on, she directed her zeal toward others, so that they might find God, and, instead of seeking consolations for herself, she set out to console Jesus, to make him loved by souls. Because, as Therese noted, Jesus is sick with love, and the sickness of love cannot be cured except by love. This, then, was her daily resolution, to make Jesus loved, to intercede so that others would love him. She wrote, "I want to save souls and forget myself for them. I want to save them even after my death." Several times she said, "I will spend my heaven doing good on earth." This was the first episode that changed her life at 14. Her zeal was directed especially to sinners, to the distant ones. This is revealed in the second episode. Therese heard about a criminal who had been sentenced to death for horrible crimes. His name was Enrico Pranzini. She writes down his name. He had been found guilty of the brutal murder of 3 people and was destined for the guillotine. but he did not want to receive the consolations of the faith. Therese took him to heart and did all she could. She prayed in every way for his conversion, so that he, who with brotherly compassion she called poor, wretched Pranzini, might demonstrate a small sign of repentance and make room for the divine mercy in which Therese trusted blindly. The execution took place. The next day, Therese read in the newspaper that just before laying his head on the block, Pranzini, all of a sudden, seized by a sudden inspiration, turned around, grabbed a crucifix that the priest handed to him, and kissed 3 times the sacred wounds of Jesus. The saint remarked, "Then his soul went to receive the merciful sentence of the one who declared that in heaven there will be more joy for a single sinner who repents than for the 99 righteous who have no need of repentance." Brothers and sisters, such is the power of intercession moved by charity. Such is the engine of mission. Missionaries, in fact, of whom Therese is patroness, are not only those who travel long distances, learn new languages, do good works, and are good at proclamation. No, a missionary is anyone who lives as an instrument of God's love where they are. Missionaries are those who do everything so that, through their witness, their prayer, and their intercession, Jesus might pass by. This is the apostolic zeal that, let us always remember, never works by proselytism, never, or constraint, never, but by attraction. Faith is born by attraction. One does not become Christian because they are forced by someone, but because they have been touched by love. More than having many available means, methods, and structures, which sometimes distract from what is essential, the Church needs hearts like Therese's. Hearts that draw people to love and bring people closer to God. And let us ask the saint, we have her relics here. Let us ask the saint for the grace to overcome our selfishness, and let us ask for the passion to intercede, so that this attraction can be greater in people, and so that Jesus might be known and loved.